Hello, everybody. This is the third chapter in videos that I'm doing about prototyping tools for building web applications to assist in the process of gathering your functional requirements, having user feedback sessions, and really just learning about how quickly you can now build prototypes using AI powered tools. And today, the tool we're focusing on is Firebase Studio. Firebase Studio is a Google product, and Firebase is a larger set of tools that you can grow into if you're using Firebase Studio, which gives it some real potential for growth inside of the platform. However, I would distinguish Firebase Studio maybe from Lovable. I don't think the AI assisted development is as strong. That being said, with Firebase Studio, I was unlimited. I was really able to get in and probably expose a lot of its weaknesses. However, because I was able to use it without limitations, I was able to build in some pretty cool features that aren't in any of the other prototypes. Specifically, I've been working on a job application tracking system. So, with that context, let's take a look at Firebase Studio. Like Bolt and Lovable, you can see that there's a little prompt area here. You can type whatever you want and it'll start building stuff just like it did in the other tools. Unlike the others, it explicitly calls out that the word prototype. You'll also notice it's in preview mode. In the free tier, I do have unlimited usage, although I do think I have a less capable LLM. Where this is unique, you'll notice in this space right here that it actually gives you options of what code base to build on. And you can even extend on this. Your options here to build a web app, to connect to a backend, for mobile, for AI and machine learning integration, database, and other things. There's way more control over some technical details right off the bat. That's a major differentiator. I did not give this tool any UX guidance. You see, this is my job tracker. I'll show the highlights and some particularly cool features with this app. All right, so we have the job application tracker. Unlike the previous tools that I've shown, this is largely when I click on something and if I edit something, it is largely working and actually saving the data back, although not to a database, to a TypeScript file. This is the best Kanban board that I've built. Let's take Adobe and put it over into Offered and you see it's there. And we can already see the status has changed today on the calendar. So it updated it right away. This is not an ideal approach from my point of view, particularly when you go from square to square. It's just bouncing all over the place. However, this seems like it's more optimized for mobile. And I'll show you what I mean. All right, so in this view, I'm just really roughly simulating mobile. Um, and you can see here that this is actually making effective use of space. So for a mobile size, this actually is a pretty nice solution, and it's thought-provoking for how to handle a calendar view. All right, and now this is really where we have the unique capabilities. While Firebase Studio uses the prototype moniker, it actually seems like it's more intended for hands-on development. Like this is built for real application development, this platform, just not so much using the AI assisted coding agent. It's just not as capable. All right, you can see here, this is the company's page. So this is, figure you're a prospective employee. You want to learn about the company that you're applying to. So when you add a company into your job application, it automatically adds a record here. And then when you click on it, you see all these insights. So let's take a look. All right, so as I move my head out of the way here, we can see that this is all AI insights that were generated live as the page loaded. So as we go down this page, everything but the specifics of the stock and the news are AI generated insights. And that is including this sentiment here, which is based on this news source. And if I click on this, so compelling medical drama, click on that, it's actually taking me there. So it's real news and it's up to date. This is news from today. And we can see the summary of the headlines that are establishing its sentiment score. And this is a news API that I signed up for, integrated, and it's working. This is the service that my API is calling. Yeah, so we can see that as we're testing, we make a lot of calls. My Gemini LLM API is reading the news from another API and giving a summary, and that's all happening on the page while it's live loading. Your large language model can contextualize this live data and build the page on the fly. The large language models generally don't search live news. So that's why we needed an API for that. And it's searching Google News. We have real live stock data down here. So this is a 30-day summary of Netflix actual activity. And we can compare that to the Google results here. I'm also using an API for this. So we can see my API usage. This page does cache. If you just keep reloading it, it doesn't keep making the API calls. That's something that you'd really want to do for an app because you want to, manage your API calls. So you can hit refresh profile. This was just generated, but let's go to another company. All right, so you can see here I have Google, which is already cached. So this loaded right away. It didn't have to do any thinking. It also doesn't have today's news. So let's see if it takes today's news if I refresh the news here. Yeah, it does. So it does, and it changes the sentiment to really positive. The overall sentiment is highly positive, driven by Google's legal victory. And then we can see the sources here. Alphabet stock climbs after judge rules Google won't be forced to sell Chrome. So that is pretty cool. I should also note Alphabet obviously is Google's parent company. And based on that news, we can see it's affected the stock price. And let's confirm that stock price here. Yep. And the only thing I actually am paying for in this app is the Gemini API. Because my company profile pages are making so many concurrent calls to the API, I was reaching the free threshold too quickly, and it made sense to just pay for it, considering this has been my worst case scenario so far, and this is 15 cents that I'm on the hook for. So I can manage that. We can see here we have a GenKit integration. We're seeing here where we're using GenKit to get real-time company insights. This is the case. We're just sending out natural language requests, and the large language model is doing the work to pull the right data back. You can also see another thing that's unique about this tool is it has the pair programmer inside of the integrated development environment or the IDE. This is the only tool that has that. Also, this is a fork of VS Code. So you might notice it looks really similar to actual VS Code here, AI assisted coding tool in this view, in the code view. This is a tool where I think if you want to get to the level that I've gotten to, you're probably going to need to edit the code without the AI assisted coding tool because it's just going to make too many mistakes and it's going to cause a mess. So you really can't just rely on the AI assisted coding tool that's integrated. However, when you do give it really detailed contextual prompts, it tends to work pretty well. And that's it for Firebase. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I did hit this one pretty hard. I'm really looking forward to showing you Base 44 next. That is definitely the nicest looking prototype that I've built, and it has the probably the coolest single capability of any of the tools that I've shown thus far. Looking forward to seeing you there. Take care.